As the cliche goes, April showers bring May flowers. But usually what comes after is the heat and dryness of summer. Hello again, Essay here. And before the hot weather of the holiday shows up, you should indulge in my new short story, The White Cat, a free exclusive on Substack. The links are down below in description. Join Margot Thompson, a beautiful stage actress and recent widow who finds salvation in the form of a white cat during a night of terror. While checking out my oddball thriller, remember that my Glitch series is still available at Amazon and Barnes & Noble. The links are down below in the description. While you'll find my peculiar story about a white pussy entertaining, that doesn't mean I'm out of ideas. I still have more stories coming down the pike, so as long as I don't run into any mishaps, you'll see those stories as well. Now let's get back to the video. Hello again. Essay here. Long ago, I believe it was JFK, he said that those who make peaceful protest impossible make violent revolution inevitable. Now what exactly did he mean by that? Well, I guess you take his words at face value. He basically says what he says. He just says that if you don't allow people to go out there with their protest signs and basically crack down on them, and then believe me, I remember I've seen a few really bad protests where people got their heads cracked open, if you know what I mean. That people are going to come out in the street with their guns. I mean, that's just the way people are. And indeed, when you look at the history of, how can I say it nicely? People protesting, it has gone in many directions. Indeed, for example, in India, when the people were protesting for their rights for self-determination, initially they did pick up guns. Didn't work out for them though. No, the British had more guns and took care of that. And then Gandhi, he basically practiced nonviolent protest. And the British didn't know what to do about that. But let's just say this, despite Gandhi's best efforts, the British didn't give up control of their country until they were forced to, because they couldn't afford to run the place no more. Yeah, that's right. It wasn't so much Gandhi's protest that ended the British Raj. It was British economic downturn that brought about the end of the Raj. True. And then, of course, you look at the United States, because people during the civil rights effort, they suffered a lot of violence. No joke. I mean, you didn't have to know about the story of Selma, Alabama to know that when Martin Luther King and the Freedom Riders went out there and got their heads cracked open by the damn state police, well, hey, it is what it is. And yet Martin Luther King, he kept his cool and said, no, we ain't gonna put down the protest sign, pick up the guns, because in the end we're gonna lose, because these rednecks down here, they got more guns and they have no problems using them. You dig? And of course, as the history books tell us, eventually nonviolent protests worked. You know, you had the Civil Rights Act, the Voting Rights Act, and all those other acts that basically wound down Jim Crow. So there you go. But then in other cases, peaceful protests don't necessarily work. And indeed, anyone who's familiar with Bloody Sunday, and no, I'm not referring to the U2 song, okay? Just letting you know, Nope, not about that. No, Bloody Sunday, that was a notorious incident happened in Northern Ireland when the Irish Catholics, they were just having a peaceful protest because they didn't like the way they were being abused by their Protestant neighbors. You know, the Orange Men. And some of those Orange Men were also in the local constabulary, the police. And unfortunately for the damn Catholics, when they were doing their peaceful protests, the damn Orange Men, you know, dressed under the color of authority, shot at them. Yeah, took the guns out and shot these people. Killed a whole bunch of them. Why they call it Bloody Sunday? And of course, afterwards, the Irish Catholics, they basically put down the protest sign. They picked up the guns, and that's when you had the provisional IRA show up. Yeah, those guys. Mm-hmm. And then, as they say in my neighborhood, the shit was on then. Yeah, no joke. And of course, according to a few people, smart people, they say this has happened throughout human history all the time. In fact, they usually refer to it as sectarian violence. And indeed, according to the Stockholm International Peace Research Institute, they claim that the general definition of sectarian violence is where you have traditional groups or non-state actors representing different populations inside of a single nation state, and they basically get their feathers ruffled, to put it nicely. And they broke it up into various strata. For example, they said when it comes to economic conflict of a sectarian nature, it's usually between capitalists and collectivists. Or if it's political, it could be nationalists versus communists. And if it gets religious, oh boy, it could be either be against various fractions of Christianity, such as Catholics and non-Catholics, like the 30 Years' War, or in some cases, Catholics versus Jews. And believe me, a lot of that happened too. And ooh-wee, the Muslim crowd, ooh, oh, that's bad. Anyone who's been paying attention to modern day Iraq can tell you, oh yeah, when them Sunnis and them Shiites get wound up, oh man, you better leave the zip code right now. It's going to get bad. And wait for it, you ready? Even out there in Burma, which they call themselves Myanmar, you got some really bad juju going on there between the Buddhists, who technically run the country, and the Muslim minority. Yeah, those damn Buddhists, you figure they tend to be a bunch of really chill kind of people. I mean, you know, Richard Gere, yeah, he's a Buddhist, he's pretty chill, but not these people in Burma. Not chill at all when it comes to the Muslim neighbors. Yeah, these people get wound up pretty fast in a hurry. And then you say, well, why can't these people get their act together? You know, be all peaceable and just live together and not be cutting each other's throats? That's a very good question. Because, for example, in Northern Ireland, the damn Catholics and the Protestants have been living more or less side by side for centuries. But then, of course, things got, to put it nicely, disturbed. And I think it was probably because primarily what was happening in the South. Because I remember reading those stories about what was happening under British rule in Ireland up until the early 20th century. And then the British, right around the time the First World War was winding down, the Irish and the South basically, got their dandruff up and started fighting the British. And the British initially fought back, but then they basically said, waved the white flag and said, okay, we don't want no part of this Donnybrook. And they just, bagged out. But then the British kept control of Northern Ireland. Why? That's a very tricky one. I just know that the the British have been controlling the northern part of Ireland since, I think, the 16th century. And they weren't backing out of that. And of course, you read the history books, the rest of the part of Ireland got its independence, an independent state, but the English held on to the northern part. And that's where they sat. But yeah, the damn people in the damn Northern Ireland, I think the problem there was that I think the Protestants were the majority and the Catholics were the minority. And what can you say? If you have like a pure democracy and you're on the Catholic side, well, you're going to lose every election. And unfortunately, the Protestants in Northern Ireland, let's just say they weren't treating their Catholic neighbors nicely. So there you go. And the Catholics, after a while, finally got fed up. Hey, that happens. But in other cases of sectarian violence, it got extremely bad, such as in Rwanda. And believe me, I saw those pictures live as it was happening. And that was probably the biggest, terrible, mess I have ever seen. I mean, the damn Watutsis and the Hutus. I mean, I don't know why they got so wound up so bad and wanted to basically slit each other's throat that bad. But the fact that I think it was like 1 million people were killed in less than a month. Just people using machetes and axes and whatnot. I mean, you have to have some serious hatred in your heart to do that much damage that quickly. Because I remember in the history books, I read about the St. Bartholomew's Day massacre. And you say, what the hell is that? Yeah, it was an incident that happened in France. Back during, it was the wedding of Queen Margot. In fact, they made a couple of films about it too. In fact, one really decent one with Isabella Gianni, where the damn Roman Catholics that basically had a truce with the Huguenots, which were basically French Protestants, to where everyone would show up on St. Bartholomew's Day for this wedding in Paris, except it was a trap. And right after the wedding was over, the damn Catholics pulled out the long knives and started killing the Huguenots. And not just the Huguenots. Apparently, according to the history books, a whole bunch of people were killed, and some people were not even Protestants. I think they said some Jews got killed, and even some people who were like non-denominational. And even though there was never a head count afterwards, the general presumption by historians was that over 30,000 people got killed in Paris. And believe me, the historical record said it was pretty bad. In fact, they said the Seine River, the river goes through Paris. They said the river was red with blood by the time that fight was over. So it wasn't much of a fight. It was a one-way. It wasn't much of a fight. It was a massacre. No joke. But anyway, this video is not so much about past mayhem. This video is about the here and now in Britain. Now, Paul Joseph Watson, that homie. Now, he's got the receipts of what's been going on right now in Britain with these riots, if you've been paying attention. And believe me, he don't mince words at all. Okay, are you ready? Here we go.
Well, baby Watson chose a nice quiet week to be born, didn't he? After a 17-year-old of Rwandan migrant heritage. A Welshman born in Cardiff launched a savage knife attack that left 3 girls dead in Southport. Absolute unbridled chaos unfolded across England.
That's going to go in a minute, mate. All these cars are gone, every one of these.
In towns and cities across the nation, angry anti-mass migration demonstrators fought running battles with police, set fire to buildings and engaged in violent confrontations with left-wing and Muslim counter-demonstrators.
Oh shit, man! And they're in. They're in. Oh, wow.
In Stoke, mobs of diverse chaps rampage through the streets looking for revenge. Similar scenes in Bolton where armed gangs chanted Allah Akbar. Before targeting lone individuals. Others physically attacked lone white people in Middlesbrough. In Leeds, people wearing Union Jacks were set upon. But strangely, the media barely included any of this in their reporting. And in some cases, the reporters deleted the videos entirely. Sky News condemned an attack on a taxi, while conveniently failing to mention the tooled-up mob right behind them carrying machetes and blunt weapons.
And look very pleased about it whilst they did it. Then there was this, as I say, clash between protesters and the police, and that is when they then ran off across the park here. A big group ran off, looking for trouble, it looked like, to us. So we're just going to step away now from this group behind us. But
the two-tier system of policing, one of the very things that fueled the riots, was also on full display. Police telling Muslim counter-protesters to politely leave their weapons at the mosque, while offering reassuring words that they were there to protect them.
We understand, yeah, that's fine.
I just need you to understand we're not against you guys. We're
here
to help and protect you.
We all understand,
When asked about two-tier policing, police chiefs weren't too keen on discussing it.
Are we going to end two-tier policing, sir?
And I just want to show you that again. That question from that reporter about two-tier policing. You'll see the Met Police Commissioner grabs the grey implement. That's the microphone. Here it is.
And amidst all the chaos, we're forced to endure the same political class and media that tacitly endorsed and lionised the 2020 BLM riots, denounced the 2024 anti-mass migration riots as nothing more than far-right extremism.
This is not protest. It is organised, violent thuggery.
The same Prime Minister who literally took a knee in response to BLM riots, along with numerous Metropolitan Police officers in London who did the same, now inform us that somehow this is totally different.
Be in no doubt,
I was shocked.
those that have participated in this
the killing
violence
of George Floyd
will face the full
and the
force
response
of the law.
President Trump.
The police
the US
will be
authorities
making arrests.
To the peaceful
individuals
protests,
will be
to
held
people
on
rightly
remand.
demanding justice.
Charges will follow,
has been an affront to
and
humanity.
convictions will
The last
follow.
week has shone a
I
spotlight
guarantee
on the racism,
you will regret taking part in this
discrimination
disorder,
and injustice
whether directly
experienced
or
by
those
those
whipping
from
up
black
this
and
action
minority ethnic
online
communities
and then
in the
running
US,
away themselves.
in the UK,
This is
and
not
across
protest.
the world.
It is
Martin
organised,
Luther King
violent
said,
thuggery.
injustice anywhere
And it has no
is a
place
threat to justice.
on our
In 2020, violent attacks against police officers were part of largely peaceful anti-racism protests. But in 2024, violent attacks against police officers are nothing less than serious violence. The George Floyd riots were a brave fight against injustice. Meanwhile, same woman.
Let's be very clear. This has not been about protest. This has been about violence and thuggery.
In 2011, the UK was besieged by similar riots that were started as a result of police killing a black criminal. The media's response then? Well, once again, it was somewhat different. They challenged the depiction of the rioters as mindless criminals, compared the rioters to South African freedom fighters, and said nice kids were being put behind bars. In 2011, the looting of shoe shops was characterised as part of a new global revolution caused by a corrupt global elite inequality in the 2008 financial crisis. In 2024, those exact same people characterised it as criminal opportunism. A riot is the voice of the unheard. Unless white working class people do it, then it's far-right extremism. When the native white working classes start rioting, the lack of community centres and ping-pong tables are all of a sudden not the reason why. Is decades of mass migration to blame? No, all white working class are far-right thugs. The scenes in Rotherham today are among the most wicked Britain has ever witnessed. Really? Matthew must have missed the 1,400 children being groomed in Rotherham over the course of more than a decade. And while fires being set and the windows of migrant centres being smashed may indeed be shocking, some might argue that dozens of kids being maimed and killed by a suicide bomber at the Manchester Arena is a little more wicked than a riot outside a hotel. Some would argue there's wicked and then there's really wicked. Good grief, just imagine if this was by a minority community. Yeah, we don't need to imagine it literally happened 2 weeks beforehand in Hare Hills, Leeds. Instead of attempting to interrogate exactly why the riots started, Keir Starmer decided to pour a huge vat of kerosene all over them. In direct contrast to how they described BLM rioters, mostly peaceful, Starmer demonised every single protester as a right-wing extremist. And anyone who attempted to challenge this narrative was swiftly censored.
What I'm saying is, you have to be very careful now with tempers the way they are and people's sense of angst of what had gone on in the preceding couple of days, where you'd had an army officer stabbed in the back, the misleading representation in the northwest where this occurred.
That's a different case there, Kevin, so we'll leave it there. That's Kevin Hurley.
They're not. You're missing the point. All of you are missing the point. People conflate this and they make
and
two
I think
and two, and they make five.
Worsening that conflation by mentioning the two cases together here. So we'll leave it there. Thank you, Kevin Hurley, who's the former Detective Chief Superintendent.
And the UK's most senior police commissioner issued a statement calling on the government to acknowledge the real cause of the riots, the devastating consequences of mass uncontrolled immigration. His words were swiftly condemned and deleted from the internet. Seems like one of the only mainstream outlets that has been a source of reasoned inquiry into the actual origins of the riots has been GB News.
The way to stop this is start to actually ask the question, why? Why are these riots happening? We should obviously condemn them. We should condemn people attacking police officers, setting things on fire. But we need to ask the question is, what has happened to this country that a large group of people feel silenced? They cannot speak. They cannot speak about the problems of mass immigration. And when you do, you're labelled, even people on the right or left, you know, you're common sense people who want to have these discussions, you're labelled as a far-right person. Now we're actually seeing the real far-right in this country rising. And the reason for that is they've been silenced for a long time. We ignore the fact that 80% of this country is actually white. We are constantly not prepared to ask deeper level questions. When BLM riots happened in 2020, the media coverage, the social media coverage was all asking the question, why? Why do black people feel the way they feel in this country, in America? But no one seems to be prepared to ask these questions towards these group of people. Instead, they want to put them all in a box of crazy, white, EDL, far-right people, rather than actually sitting there saying, what has happened to this country? Will Sir Keir Starmer actually wake up and actually do something to this, or will we turn into France where this is just going to keep on happening on a regular basis? So I think to stop these riots, we need to have a much more serious conversation about how to stop crime in this country, how to stop certain ethnic groups getting an advantage in terms of not being prosecuted by the police. We saw it in Rotherham with those young girls who are getting exploited. We need to have some serious questions about this. Until then, I don't think the riots will stop.
And now they're calling for that whole network to be shut down. Labour's Rachel Reeves said in 2016 mass uncontrolled immigration would cause riots. And now it has. But suddenly we're not allowed to identify the origin of the unrest. Now the authoritarian response that was somehow beyond reach for dealing with violent crime, mass illegal immigration and grooming gangs has swung into action virtually overnight to deal with the unruly protesters.
I guarantee you will regret taking part in this disorder, whether directly or those whipping up this action online.
24-hour courts, home raids.
Please open the door! Is someone able to get the door through the glass?
Mass online censorship, the introduction of Islamophobia blasphemy laws, a return to COVID-style curfews and lockdowns.
In COVID, they were prepared to back measures that were needed in that situation. I think they would take a similar approach to keeping rioters off the streets now.
Which of course weren't applied when BLM rioted, and after Labour announced a plan to release criminals onto the streets because of a capacity crisis in prisons, suddenly there's plenty of capacity to imprison the rioters.
There are prison places available as well. There are already people who are in custody right now as we speak, and we should be clear, there will be people who are thinking they're going on their summer holiday this week, and instead they're going to be facing a knock on the door and a police cell as a result of what they have done.
And while it may be fair to characterise the rioting as extremist in nature, how would one characterise a sustained government policy over the course of decades, which no one wanted, no one ever voted for, namely the accelerated importation at great cost to the public, both financially and in terms of their safety, of millions of people who despise us? A government policy that has turned large areas of towns and cities into unrecognisable crime-ridden hellholes. Is that not extremist in nature too?
Okay, you saw that, right? Now, believe me, when I first heard that story about those little kids getting murdered, believe me, I thought that was pretty bad. Because we have, mess going on inside the United States all the time. I mean, anyone who's watched a damn news report out of Chicago on a damn Monday morning can tell you that, yeah, here in the United States, we got a lot of fools with guns. And when the damn sun goes down, they, out in the street causing all sorts of mayhem. Okay? Just the way things are. But I think what really touched the nerve with these English was that you have a bunch of little kids. I think it's some Taylor Swift event, the Swifties. And this guy goes in there with a damn butcher knife and starts stabbing all the little kids. I mean, we little kids. And you must have, rocks for your brain or got a stone for a heart to go do something like that. And so far, and at least the British police arrested the clown. But I think what probably happened was that the people in the community became enraged when it seemed as though the British police and, wait for it, the British government, local officials tried to discount what happened like it wasn't a big deal. I'm thinking, are you kidding me? A bunch of little kids just got carved up like Sunday dinner. And these damn government officials and law enforcement was trying to say, oh, it's not a big deal. We have knife fights all the time on Saturday night. Yeah, but this wasn't a knife fight. This was some damn kook who went to a damn little kid's school and started, you turned the little kids into shish kebabs. And I think that's what probably pissed people off. And then, when they came out with the protest signs, the damn British police started cracking down on them. Because if you remember in Watson's video, they said the people were just kind of angry. And then, of course, when the government basically said, oh, sit down and shut up, then they got pissed. And that's when they came out there with the Molotovs and started setting the police vehicles on fire. And then it got worse. Then they started attacking these local, what they call migrant encampments they got in England. Of course, they used to be like 4-star hotels, but hey, it is what it is. And start burning the places down with the people in them. No joke. And then, of course, this point said, oh, it turned to some kind of right-wing affair. No, I wouldn't go that far. No. Because I remember one time in an old Popeye episode where Popeye famously said, I can only stand so much and I can't stand no more. And I think that's what happened with the people in that community. They've been basically put upon by their leaders, and they had up to here, and they exploded. And of course, I will concede they did take it on. They did take it out on a bunch of people who didn't have nothing to do with this murder. But then again, that's kind of happens when you're dealing with a riot. It's basically like a headless monster. You can't control it. I mean, once it gets loose, it just basically just goes wherever it wants. Like lightning. Because lightning is basically like a force that can't be controlled. And anyone who's seen like a real, serious thunderstorm knows that when lightning gets really churned up in the clouds, that electricity can go anywhere. And I think that's basically what happened with these damn riots. But I think And of course, you saw in the video, I think the main problem was the reaction of the people in the government, the police, and the news media too. Can't leave those clowns out. No. Because just like here in North America, the news media has been culturally captured by these radical leftists. And they think letting in illegal migrants by the trainload is a good thing. And therefore, when this mindless force of riots attack the migrant camps, then these people, knee-jerk reactions, said, these must be right-wingers. No, they're just ordinary people who just got pissed. And then, when you have the damn, let's not pretend, the new Labor government is a bunch of radical leftists, let's not pretend, that's who they are, and wait for it, the damn British police, you got a lot of woke leftists walking around with police badges. Yeah, we're not talking about, Endeavour Morse, just an old school copper. No. A lot of the people walking around with British police badges, these people are political. I mean, they're totally radical leftists walking around with badges. They must be walking around with Antifa t-shirts, some of these damn cops. No joke. Because they had incident, I think it happened late last year, early this year, where some radical leftist, a woman up there in Yorkshire, a cop, she got her ass on her shoulders when some little kid, some teenager, basically offhandedly said, "You look like my lesbian granny," and this stupid woman got so fucking triggered and angry that she basically called her local bobbies, and they went to the girl's house. I guess I don't know how the woman knew where the girl lived, and kicked in the door and dragged her out by her ear and tried to arrest her for a hate crime. I'm thinking, are you fucking kidding me? So the little teenage kid said you look like her lesbian grandma. Big fucking deal. What are you getting your ass on your shoulders for? Because I know for a fact that you had some crap like that happen in the LAPD or even NYPD, that cop would have gotten fired. Yeah, no joke. Because ordinary citizens here, they want to tolerate some shit like that. Cop, basically getting all violent with some teenage kid just because you said some words to them you didn't like. No way. But this damn cop in Yorkshire got away with it because, unfortunately, the damn senior people in the police department. We're talking the superintendents and the chief superintendents, and all those are clowns up the ladder inside the damn Yorkshire police. They're all a bunch of woke leftists, and they basically say, "Oh yeah, we're cool with this. This is fine." And there you go. I mean, the kid was lucky that the damn court system wasn't totally taken over by leftists, and they eventually let the kid go. But as for this cop who went way off the cliff, nothing happened to her. In fact, I think the last time I heard, that woman's still working in Yorkshire. Yeah, stupid ass woman. And of course, they show a picture of her. You know what? She does look like a lesbian. Okay, so there you go. But as for what's going on right now in England, what these damn riots, these damn people are not helping themselves. Talking about they're going to punish the damn people for getting angry and getting fed up and rioting. And then, wait for it, you ready? As you saw in Watson's video, in the meantime, the damn stupid illegal migrants, after their damn migrant encampments got burnt down, they then picked up a bunch of clubs and machetes and started running around various communities And not just in the one where the original riots took place, but in other communities attacking no random white people in the street. And I'm thinking, are you fucking mad? You can't be going around doing that shit. And so far, they hadn't killed anybody yet. But I'm looking at these videos and I'm saying, oh my God, this shit looks like fucking Rwanda all over again. And I'm thinking, if these damn stupid knuckleheads from these damn third world countries start, turning a lot of these English white folks into fucking Sunday dinner like they did in Rwanda, ooh-wee. And then these damn British politicians and these cops don't do anything about it and let these clowns just go off and do their thing. And meantime, the people who are really angry, the regular citizens, they're the ones who get rounded up and taken to Baltimore prison or someplace like that. Oh my God! You're going to see like an explosion in that country they haven't seen since the English Civil War. And of course, anyone who's ever read a history book know how that one turned out. Yeah, King Charles lost his head. Yep, in every sense of the word. So, these damn clowns who are supposed to be running that country, they better be very careful. Because they could, light something up that they can't control. Because look what happened in damn Syria. Because even though the jihadis initially took over the Syrian civil war, when you look how it started when some kids in some town, in the southern part of the country, I'm near the town now, was writing some anti-Assad graffiti. And the local police rounded up the kids and beat the crap out of them. And then the people in the community got angry at the police. And then the police, beat up the damn local citizens of that town. And then it just metastasized, and then it was just a cycle of violence. And until finally you had tanks in the damn streets of the damn Syria. And you had people running around with guns declaring themselves, was it the Free Syrian Army? Yeah. And then before you could say Joe Blow, those damn what started out as a bunch of kids graffitiing a wall with no political graffiti ended up turning to a full-blown civil war. Because it was just multiple layers of escalation between the government and the citizenry. And nobody was even trying to turn that shit down. And when I see what's happening in England, yeah, precisely. That thing could easily turn to the Syrian civil war fast, especially if you just have layers of escalation between the citizens and the government. Nobody wants to turn that thing down. So yeah, these clowns in Westminster and over there in number 10 Downing Street, those clowns better chill and back off a little and basically try to have a little empathy for their own people. And say, okay, we get it. You're pissed about these little kids getting murdered. Instead of sitting there acting like damn Pinochet or some other tin-pot dictator, with the iron fist saying we're going to bring the hammer down on you for getting mad over our lack of empathy over the loss of your children. Yeah, precisely. Well, that's all I had to say about all that mayhem happening in England. That didn't have to happen, I might add. And that's my opinion.